Hi you guys, it's Yao. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing all the books that I finished in April. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the video. The first book I finished in April was Their Vicious Games. And this book follows Adina Walker, a Black teen who has recently lost her Ivy League acceptance due to school fight. At the start of the book, Adina is graduating from Edgewater Academy, a distinguished private school. Adina can attend Edgewater Academy through a scholarship. Both of her parents work at the school, otherwise she wouldn't be able to afford it without her scholarship. Her whole life, she's tried to be perfect because she knows one mistake can cause all her opportunities to be taken away. She doesn't have the same leeway that some of the other students at the academy have because she doesn't come from a background of wealth or privilege. So the fight she got into was with a girl named Esme, who is jealous of Adina's Ivy League acceptance. But the fight is blamed on Adina because Esme's family is wealthy and influential. Adina becomes blacklisted at not only her top choice school, but the other Ivy Leagues as well. Not all is lost though, because there is a competition hosted by the Remingtons, who founded Edgewater Academy. So the Remingtons are like a super rich family, and the contest that they host is called The Finish, and 12 girls are selected to compete. There are 3 main events. The winner of the contest will be sponsored by the ultra-wealthy family for the rest of their life, and so the ultra-wealthy family will basically pay for everything. Not to mention, they have the connections to get you into like anywhere that you want to go to school or work. So basically, they can help you get like amazing opportunities for your future that you wouldn't have been able to get otherwise, or you would have had to work really hard for it to get otherwise. So Adina wasn't originally invited to the competition. The reason why she ends up getting an invitation is because like the younger Remington, he like basically notices her and then he gives her an invitation. So yes. And when Adina joins the competition, she quickly realizes she bit off more than she could chew. The games are more cutthroat and dangerous than she could have ever prepared for. So this was amazing. I gave this book 4 glorious stars. The author of Their Vicious Games has said her book is a work of social satire, and this book is reminiscent of The Hunger Games, Squid Games, and Knives Out. It was action-packed, filled with suspense and high stakes. The first 50 or so pages were uneventful to read through. Also, Adina does something that makes her seem questionable / insufferable in the first 50 pages. If you read the book, you know what I mean. I won't spoil it for those who haven't read it yet, but it was fine because I felt more neutral towards her as the story progressed, so that kind of resolved itself. The reason why this book piqued my interest and why I continued reading was I found the plot like really interesting. The whole concept, like the premise, it drew me in. So I was there for the plot, not necessarily the characters. However, the characters had complex motivations, which really surprised me because I thought they were going to be like less interesting. But no, these characters were complex and well written, and I appreciated the social commentary about wealth, inequality, privilege, flaws in the education system, and just overall commentary about flaws in society. Some parts of the book were too slow for my liking because I really like fast-paced books, and anything that's not fast, I tend to get bored of it quickly. There are exceptions, but the pacing overall was fast-paced enough for me. It wasn't too slow. The ending was also less satisfying than I anticipated, but this was a really enjoyable read nonetheless. The author has a book called The Blonde Dies First coming out later this year in June, I believe. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. Check Goodreads, and The Blonde Dies First actually comes out in July, not June. And I also want to revise my previous statement about how I like can't read anything that's not fast-paced. I can read medium-paced books, but it's just less of an enjoyable experience for me. Okay, so the next book that I finished in April was the 3rd volume of Heartstopper. So this volume follows Nick and Charlie as their relationship progresses in Paris. So Nick, Charlie, and the rest of their friends all go on a fun trip together to Paris. So Nick and Charlie are becoming more open about their relationship with others in this volume, and we also follow the side characters in their relationships. So Tao and Elle have feelings for each other, and we see how they navigate that. We get more information on the origin story of Tara and Darcy's relationship as well. Also, the teachers who are leading this field trip also seem to have some chemistry, which is interesting. Yeah, I didn't really expect that. But I gave this one 3 stars, and I was actually considering giving it 2 stars. So let's talk about this, because this might come as a surprise to some of you, because I liked the first volume like a lot, and I thought it was like gonna be a 5-star read. Yeah. So I was excited to read this volume because they were traveling, and I thought this was a fun way to switch up the setting of this series. However, while this graphic novel series is charmingly cute, the main flaw is it feels like there could be more depth added to the characters. So I overlooked this in the past 2 volumes, but the main characters seem too perfect since they scarcely have any flaws. The series is really popular, but this is my opinion. So if you disagree, that's fine, but I'm sticking to my opinion. And I find myself enjoying these comics more when I'm craving a comforting distraction. If I'm reading critically, I start to pick apart the things that I liked about it in the first place. Okay, so the next book and the final book that I read in April is called Woman of Good Fortune. And y'all, the synopsis for this sounded so good. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, the book did not live up to the premise. So, Woman of Good Fortune has been compared to Crazy Rich Asians and Ocean's 11. I've never watched Ocean's 11 before, but based on my knowledge, it's like a really good heist film series. Okay, so Woman of Good Fortune takes place in Shanghai, and we follow the perspective of 3 women, Lulu, Jane, and Rena. Lulu came from a poor background, so she values money a lot because she wants to help out her family. Also, her family, specifically her mom, puts a lot of pressure on her to like help her family out financially. Harv, a rich bachelor in Shanghai, proposes to her, so she says yes, even though she's doing it for her family, not herself. So she's doing this for financial reasons. She doesn't actually like the guy that much. Yeah. She shares her troubles with her 2 best friends, Rena and Jane. Just so you guys know, when I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So Rena is very career-oriented, but she's having trouble at work because she keeps getting overlooked for a promotion. At the same time, she's getting older, and she's been notified that she needs to freeze her eggs before she stops fertilizing, so she won't have enough money to do this if she doesn't get the promotion. So Jane is a very sassy and fashionable housewife who wants to divorce her husband because she's in an arranged marriage, and her husband is too cheap, in her opinion, and too restrictive of her purchases, in her opinion. So she wants money to get plastic surgery so she can find another husband because she sees herself as too ugly to marry right now. And then Lulu wants the money to travel away from China and her parents' expectations of her there, because since she lives like very close to her parents, they are able to maintain control of her life, and she just doesn't like that. So Lulu, Jane, and Rena decide that Lulu's wedding is the perfect chance to pull off a heist and steal the money that the guests have given. There's a safe for the guests to drop off red envelopes filled with money, and they decide to steal that money. Okay, so I gave this one 2 stars, which is a little harsh for a debut novel. First of all, I think to read this, I think you need to have some suspension of belief, because it's common sense that stealing money, even from an extremely rich family, is a bad idea. No one would do this in real life unless they wanted to face the possibility of going to jail. I think this brings us to the first flaw of these characters, which is that they aren't very mature or moral people. I'm all for a morally gray character, but it has to be done with believability and not just like it's a funny joke that these full-grown adults have no problem taking so much money. Like, where is the concept of responsibility? And yeah, it doesn't really make that much sense. And also, it doesn't seem right. Like, yeah, I just don't understand it. I really wanted to like this, and I did actually like a lot about it at first. Later on though, as they got closer to doing the heist, it kind of fell flat for me because I saw that they were actually going to go through with it, which I just can't fathom the thought process of doing that because it negatively affects them, and yeah, it's not like good either, so it just doesn't make sense to me. Don't get me wrong, the book had its funny and lighthearted moments for sure, but at times it veered towards being nonsensical and dull. The pacing dragged near the end, and I just wanted to be done with the book. Like, the first 60 to 70% took me like around a week or less than a week, and then after that I just couldn't finish it because I just lost all interest in continuing the book. But I pushed through for the sake of finishing it. Otherwise I wouldn't have, if I didn't like want to complete the book. Well, obviously. Okay, anyways, I understood the appeal of the main characters, but I still found them a tad irritating. Jane was my favorite, though I'm going to explain in a second. So Lulu is an extreme people pleaser. It's so bad because she never says what she wants at all. Her whole life is controlled by others. I was just so frustrated by her because I really just wanted her to speak up for herself. I think that would have helped her out like a lot, and wouldn't even have to go through this whole heist thing. She could have just told like the guy that she didn't want to marry him, told her mother that she doesn't want to send her money into, yeah. And Rita is likable too, but she seems like a smart character because she's so career oriented, but I don't think her intelligence is properly captured, and it makes her character seem more flat because it doesn't make sense for her to act so contradictory because she's so calculated and precise, and she's like working towards her goals. It doesn't make sense why someone like that would take a huge risk and steal a bunch of money. So the reason I like Jane, despite her flaws, because she does have them, but she's just really funny and outrageous, so at least I was entertained by her, and I could overlook some of her flaws because I was mostly paying attention to like the entertaining aspect of her. The side characters also seem like caricatures rather than fully fleshed out characters. Everyone's either just good or bad. There's no gray area or complexity. On top of all this, the execution of the heist lacked believability and came across as sloppy and unrealistic. You guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sending you so much love. Hope you enjoyed, and bye-bye.